too.
Yeah, I think this pretty much sums it up right here about this movie we're about to talk about here. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the two films of June 20th, 2014, and we're starting off with the biggest of the two new releases, Think Like a Man 2, the literal definition of a here we go again sequel, where we're just going to literally do everything we did before, except add a new spice into it, like taking from what was popular around that time, if you even want to call it that, with a hangover. But in the sequel, all the couples are back for a wedding in Las Vegas. They're in Vegas for the wedding of Candace, Regina Hall, and Michael Terrence J. And the girls are getting off into trouble for their bachelorette party, where the guys are doing the same for their bachelor party. But plans for a romantic weekend goes awry when their various misadventures get them into some compromising situations they threaten to derail the big event. Along with their issues with their relationships, Maya and Zeke, making good Romney Malco, are doing really well, except that Zeke's past keeps rearing its ugly head. Dominic and Lauren, Michael Easley and Taraji P. Henson, are solid in their relationship, but they're independently confronted with challenges. Cedric, played by Kevin Hart, is in the process of getting another divorce. Jerry Ferrer, and Kristen Gabrielle Jr. are married, which leads to a new series of issues for them. And Tish, Wendy McClendon Covey, and Bennett, Gary Owen, have been married for a long time, and the trip shakes up their marriage. Now, I really love the first Think Like a Man. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies to have come out in the last few years, and it was one of my favorite movies of 2012. It was a smart, funny, witty romantic comedy based off of Steve Harvey's book with an excellent all-star cast. I mean, it did everything the complete opposite of a Tyler Perry movie and became one of the funniest and smartest romantic comedies I've ever seen. The sequel, oh dear God, what a mess this was. It's like they took all the charm and wit out of the first movie and just decided to simply make a quick cash grab instead of trying to make a good story for the sequel. I mean, this is about as bad as you can get. Now, occasionally you still get some funny moments here and there. The actors still work with the material given to them fine. They still have that good chemistry to them, which, I mean, I like the fact that Kevin Hart actually got more to do in this movie, which was actually one of my complaints about the first film, since he was all over the marketing, and he was barely in the film for the first half of it. And he's actually here in this more. Like, the number one problem this movie has right from the get-go is the script. They really made it seem like they weren't even trying to come up with a good idea for the sequel. You could have had a good story for the sequel. You could have gone into more detail about how everybody's life is now that they're married couples and how they're dealing with being married, but no, we can't do that. Let's just recycle old bits from the first movie, like Kevin Hart's character getting divorced again after he got back together with his wife in the first movie. Let's take out the Steve Harvey bits, even though this damn film exists because of him, and instead we're going to keeping it in LA, we're going to take it to Vegas, baby, because we want to make our own version of The Hangover, which, let's be honest, this was probably a better overall sequel than any of the actual Hangover sequels, and this wasn't even an official sequel to The Hangover. But tell me something, would you rather watch this again, or would you rather sit through the same two damn movies in 2 and 3 over again? I would personally pick this one, but that's just my personal opinion about this. But the question you are probably wondering is this one of the year's worst movies? And I say no. Despite all the problems the script has, this film still does have some good moments, which I talked about. And like I said, the performances overall are fine enough to carry it over, but it just really felt like a major letdown. It was one of the big disappointing sequels I saw that year, especially considering that Rio 2 also came out the very same year. It was also a bad movie, even though I love the first one a lot. I've always respected Kevin Hart's comedy, and the fact that it's being wasted on this inspired sequel really disappointed me. I mean, Kevin Hart and Regina Hall were in a much better comedy, and Michael Ealy, too, was in a better comedy earlier this year, About Last Night. I'd say watch that before watching this. I mean, this is the typical definition of a, let's do another movie because the first one was a success, and we're not even going to bother to try making anything of worthiness in terms of good story. We just want to do the same thing we did all over again, except let's up the ante by moving it to Las Vegas, because that's the way to go. That's the ticket, and no, it really wasn't, because not a lot of people went to see this movie, and when you see it, it's not really that hard to see why, So, yeah. That is Think Like a Man 2 for you. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the best movie of the entire weekend, which really isn't saying a whole lot. Clint Eastwood's adaptation of the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons story, the Broadway musical Jersey Boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Four Seasons! Jersey Boys, rated R, starts June 20th.
So, needless to say, this is definitely a lot better than Clint Eastwood's last musical he did, which was Paint Your Wagon. But then again, who could deny a musical called Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin with that Ponderosa Pine? Woo-hoo. Yeah, this is definitely not paint your wagon, that's for certain, but it's an interesting choice for Clint Eastwood to go down this route here, especially with the material here, but kind of fits right in with his usual stuff. Jersey Boys, if you don't know, is the musical biography about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, the rise, the tough times, and personal clashes, and ultimate triumph of a group of friends whose music becomes symbolic for a generation. Far from a mere tribute concert, Jersey Boys gets to the heart of the relationship at the center of the group, with a special focus on frontman Frankie Valli, played by John Lloyd Young, who played the role of Frankie Valli in the original Broadway musical, which went on to become a smash hit in the early 2000s. The small kid with the big falsetto. In addition to following the quartet's coming of age as performers, the core of the show is how an allegiance to a code of honor learned in the streets of their native New Jersey got them into a multitude of challenges, gambling debts, mafia threats, and family disasters. Jersey Boys is a glimpse at the people behind a sound that has managed to endure for over 4 decades in the hearts of the public. And, yeah, this is, I mean, it's probably a good thing that he's the only director on this movie in general here. And then again, and I said that Paint Your Wagon was the last musical turn that he had. No, he sang the song for Gran Torino at the end of that movie, which, yeah, if you've heard that song, it's probably best that you never do it. But if you did, yeah, you could probably see why he never really took on another musical until this one here. But, I mean, there's been a lot of shit being tossed about this film for the fact that some people thought Clint Eastwood should have directed this, to people saying they should have casted Hollywood actors, because I could clearly see somebody like, Robert Pattinson as Tommy DeVito, because that went as well as he did the Accident Remember Me. Keep in mind, this was back before Robert Pattinson became the cool Robert Pattinson that we know him to be today, but, I mean, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I like the fact that Eastwood did a good enough job at casting the picture, invoking his unique, dark, way of shooting the film, because that has the same kind of feel as something like a Gran Torino does. You can definitely tell it's an Eastwood-directed movie, and he got a lot of good actors who do really a lot of good covers of the songs, just like in the Broadway production. I mean, John Lloyd Young does a good job of capturing that performance of Frankie Valli that he did in the original. He nails it singing-wise, acting-wise. I thought everybody else in the cast was pretty good, too. Vincent Piazza as Tommy DeVito, Eric Bergen as Bob Gordio, Michael Lamenda as Nick Massey, Clint Eastwood is pretty good as Gyp DeCarlo. It's probably his best outside of walk-up performance from him from a long time, and I'm glad the film didn't play him up as the typical mob boss for the most part. Most of the cast overall was good in here. I mean, there was one guy who was playing Joe Pesci, and he acted more like Jonah Hill than Joe Pesci did. And if you've seen the movie I'm talking about here, I mean, at least he was fair compared to his performance in Jersey Shore Shark Attack. Yeah, that's literally one of the movies that he's in, and it certainly is a lot better than that. The covers are very good. The movie is smart enough not to just plaster them in there just for the hell of it, like a lot of shitty musicals do. Each one kind of serves a purpose to the storyline here, right in the spot, and placed right in the spot of the story. If there is a flaw to the film, it's mostly the fact that my biggest flaw with it is that you have a typical rise and fall story that we see very often in musical biopics. We see it in Ray. We see it in Walk the Line. We see it in Coal Miner's Daughter, La Bamba. We still got a ton of these very much after this movie came out. We'll have another one in the summer with Chadwick Boseman's Get On Up, with a James Brown biopic that does the exact same thing. It's about how the group rises and falls, drugs get involved family-wise, there's a death, and my favorite cliche of all, somebody has to throw something. This just doesn't happen once in the movie. 3 times it happens. 2 chairs and a glass get thrown in the film for no reason, because you can't convey anger without throwing something. It's been done before in the movies, and we'll be damned if we're not going to keep doing it again. It's just like, there's also a subplot in the movie that felt really off in here. Like, Frankie's daughter ends up with her after their divorce, and she's taking drugs, and she dies. And honestly, we could have felt more for her if we actually knew more about this girl. They really just kind of pass her over. They pass over her more times than Frankie probably did in real life. I mean, and it just felt like Eastwood wanted to build more drama by having another kid killed in one of his movies, because that's his norm in these films. But, I mean, like I said, it could have been much worse. They could have done the same thing they've done with going into a completely different format, like in Justice League Cry for Justice with Lee and Harper, where, she's in the comic just to die for no reason whatsoever, as a cheap emotional ploy. And I bring this up because I said originally in my review that I thought maybe the stage production would go into more detail about her character being there. Funny enough, the following year, we went to see Jersey Boys when it came to Pittsburgh, and there's a part in that scene I was talking about here, where, Frankie Valli's daughter ends up dying at an early age of a drug overdose in the 1980s, and when I first saw that in the movie, it was played out in it plays it out, and one of my favorite songs, "Can't Take My Eyes Off You," was created in that movie. According to the movie, it was a tribute to his daughter, and was the reason why he got back into the music business. Or at least that's what you think, because if you watch the stage show, the song "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You" actually comes early into his solo music career, and when Valley's daughter Francesca dies, the song he sings is a cover of "Fallen Angel." It's a good don't get me wrong, it's a good song, but you hear these two different stories from such a traumatic moment in his life, and you gotta wonder how far a biopic goes before you can start questioning what happened. Did he create the song did he create "Who Loves You"? Did he create "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You" because of his daughter, or was it beforehand? It's just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It really just feels like they try to do something different, but at the same time, it doesn't really mesh with what we're supposed to take from it. What are we supposed to take from this song being made? Changing it around and all that. It feels really, really odd overall. Why they did that, and it makes no sense whatsoever to do that. But like I said, it didn't quite live up to the expectations I was hoping for it would have, but for what they gave us, I thought he did a commendable job with it, Eastwood did, giving us a different movie that we're used to seeing from him, putting in enough effort and time to make the film more consistent rewatchability, because I've watched it several times, and, I love Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons music. I used to listen to it all the time. I went to concerts with my parents whenever he comes to town. He's a great musician. His music is really damn good. I'm sure that the stage version. I've seen the stage version. The stage version is definitely a much better experience overall. But as far as the movie goes, it works fine. It's a fine adaptation of it all. But like I said, it's definitely something where you really are going to be confused if you saw this and also the Broadway and also the musical and thought to yourself, "Wait, what makes sense here? What's supposed to be the truth here? What's in the movie or what's in the musical?" I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to burp. Sorry, but yeah, like I said, it's really hard to figure out which direction it's supposed to go. You're supposed to buy into here. You're supposed to buy this particular section, or the stage show, or the movie. Which one is the real version? But as long as they're both entertaining, I guess it's not a big deal. But it's definitely something that kind of gets to me even after all these years later. It's a good movie, but like I said, I think it's better to see the movie and the Broadway musical so you can compare it each by inch. And I'm still confused nowadays on which one I think which is the better one. Do I think it's the new movie version, or the musical? I can't really say for certain what it is, but I don't know. But like I said, I like it enough. Jersey Boys, it's worth it. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and we're not only getting 2 movies next time around, we're getting 3 movies, but only 2 of them will be really good, because the biggest new release is Transformers: Age of Extinction. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, it's the 4th Transformers movie from Michael Bay. It's him coming off of Pain and Gain, a critically successful and a financially successful film with Mark Wahlberg. So that means he's coming back to Transformers, probably with a more refresher tone of how to do this franchise after the way that the original trilogy ended. He's bringing Mark Wahlberg along for the ride too. This has got to be a good movie, right? Nope. We'll touch on that on the next episode, but we will have 2 good movies. We'll have Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer with Chris Evans among the cast in it, and we also have Keira Knightley in Begin Again from the director of Once. So we'll have 3 movies to come up in the middle to end the first half of 2014, and we'll cover that on the next episode. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.